always nice to start the show with a beverage. Hello, everyone. I'm Jen, and thank you for tuning in to Dear Future Granted. Can we do that again? It's Grandkids. How come I can't say it right? Because this is the show that asks the question, what would you say to your future grandkids? What life lessons, legacies, stories, and memorabilia do you want to share with the next generation? Because life moves pretty fast, and if you don't stop to look around once in a while, you could miss it. Now, thank you for joining us here on Dear Future Grandkids. How you all been? I tell you what, I'm just slurring a little bit because I've been under the weather. It happens. It just gets really hot and it gets really cold. There's a lot of rain as well. So, but bear with me. It's going to be a fantastic show because I can attest to this. You are going to love our guest today. So today, she will be proud to tell the future grandkids that by day, she's a content strategist, editor, and copywriter whose work has appeared in Cosmopolitan Magazine, Harper's Bazaar, Yahoo, Her World, and many more. And by night, she's an author who writes fantasy romance and young adult contemporary novels. She published her first novel, Lambs for Dinner, at just 23 years old and is one of the winners of the Beyond Words You and Younger competition. She now has a grand total of 6 books, and she's definitely proud of that. Now, she would be embarrassed if her future grandkids found out that she once changed her last name to Cullen in tribute to the character Edward Cullen in the Twilight book series. So here's a big welcome to Dear Future Grandkids. Please welcome Joyce Chua.
Hi.
Hi, Joyce. How's it going? Sorry about that for the opening of the show and also for your introduction. I was just totally stumbling because I just had been not well and didn't do the introduction justice. But the main thing about picking up the introduction is, oh, so you called yourself a Cullen?
It was a phase.
It's okay. Don't worry about it being a phase. And we just want to tell you that this is a show which is all about building a video time capsule with our guests for their future grandkids. And you, for the very first time on our show, you have a Dear Future Grandkids time capsule there with you. Can you just show it to us first before you open it? Keep it safe.
Right here. Oops.
Oh, look at that. There it is. There it is. That's the time capsule which we will be opening up and then putting things in and then filing it for the future generations and for your future grandkids as well. It's going to be fantastic. So Joyce, like always on the show, we always kick off with some quick fire questions. So are you ready? Are you ready to answer?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, don't think too much about it. Okay, it's going to come at you thick and fast and just quickly answer as fast as you can. Here we go. Now, what's the first movie you ever saw?
The first movie I ever watched in the theaters with my dad was The Mummy.
The Mummy?
The Mummy,
How old were you?
I was 8 years old.
8 years old? Your dad
had to cover my eyes during the gruesome parts.
Your dad brought you to watch The Mummy at 8 years old?
I think I was 8 years old, yeah.
I think he was trying to scare you, or he just wanted to watch the movie really badly and goes, you come along. Now, what's your worst habit?
Sleeping late.
Okay. What's your greatest indulgence?
K-dramas and C-dramas.
Well, that's not too bad. Now, have you got any rituals?
I don't have a ritual except that I swim every morning before I start my day.
Every morning?
Every morning.
So, like, how early do you start that? Like, are we talking about 6, 7 in the morning?
I wake up around 7 and I swim around 8. But when I have a full-time job, I'll wake up earlier, like 6 a.m.
Wow, that's discipline. Now, what is a song that you listen to when you're feeling stuck or in need of a pick-me-up?
When I'm preparing to go out, I'll play Bejeweled by Taylor Swift. Or when I'm feeling a little down, I'll play songs by this Korean psychedelic rock band called Nell.
You're just too cool for us. She just mentioned Korean psychedelic rock band in a sentence. Okay. I have to believe you.
They're great.
Amazing, eclectic choice. Wonderful. Now, name a thing that humans do that drives you crazy, that you just can't deal with it.
When they walk or talk really slow.
You're such a city girl.
I'm so impatient. I'm terrible.
So what happens if they're like you're walking and it's packed and there's people in front of you slow? Do you just cut them off?
I just kind of wind around them.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Sometimes we can get a bit impatient. Now the next quick fire question is I gotta ask you this. What is angsty kissing? Because it's from one of your books, Empires of Gods and Beasts. So what is angsty kissing?
Angsty kissing is when two characters are pining for each other, but they can't be together. So they're, it's angsty and they kind of have to part. So they kiss. So it's angsty kissing.
So it's like they've really fancied each other for such a long time. And then when they finally get to kiss, it's like everything just...
Yeah. And then they have to separate.
And never be together, right?
Well, they usually have a happy endings. My book have happy endings, but they have to be separated for a while, which is why it's angsty.
Oh dear. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. Okay. And final quick fire question. What is the most expensive mistake you have ever made?
In my 20s, I bought too many endowment funds. So I kind of had to cut 2 of them off and I lost 10K as a result.
So to everyone watching, I'm sure most of you might be financially savvy. For those who are not, endowment funds are something that you, it's like an investment tool and you put in for your savings. When you're younger, you just put quite a bit in every month, or you can choose to do it every month or yearly, right? But it's just that it gets stuck sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, for the long term, for like 15 years.
Wow, 15 years. Okay, we're going to get into that later in terms of the financial aspects of being an author as well, and especially a published author, and see how that works. So, Joyce, thank you very much. You have survived the first part of the show, which is the quick fire questions. But now we're going to give you a few seconds to grab 2 treasures from your work or travels, excuse me, that have special meaning for you. So, do you have
from my work or travels? You mean like the one in the box?
Yeah, in the box. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So
your time capsule, Dear Future Grandkids box.
So the first one is a photo of me and my dad when I was a kid, and he's carrying me. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, how old were you back then?
I think I was
with this picture.
2 or 3.
Oh.
Yeah, with the bowl haircut. My dad cut my hair for me.
Your dad cut your hair for you?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because I couldn't sit still in the salon. He was the only one who could make me sit still.
Oh wow. And then he volunteered to cut. I would freak out if I had to cut my kid's head.
Well,
when
2
or 3.
It's not the best haircut. He admitted it himself.
But you got a trim from that, so that's not too bad. That is lovely. And what else do you have for us?
Yes, so I have this. I call this the Book of My Heart. It's a book that was published just last year. I wrote it in 2015 actually, but it only got published last year. So I held on to this book for the longest time. I just had so much hope in it, and finally it got published. So this is the Book of My Heart. Was
it a really tough process to get it published? Did you have to convince different publishers, or talk us through that process of its inception to being published 7 years later?
Sure. Yeah. So I wrote it in 2015, and then I started querying it. Querying is when you kind of have to pitch your book to a literary agent so that they'll sign you on and pitch it to a publisher. I didn't get any bites. I got some, full manuscript requests for it and almost got close to, signing with an agent, but it didn't work out in the end. So I kind of had to shelve it away, worked on something else, worked on my fantasy trilogy, which finally got me published by Penguin Sea. And I think it was a couple of years later that the publisher asked if I had any other manuscripts in my drawer. So I pulled this one out.
Oh, so the publisher actually reminded you if you had any, or asked you if you had any manuscripts lying around. You didn't even think about it to just send it across? No.
I didn't think that they would be interested because I guess the climate at the time was, a lot of publishers were more interested in fantasy, not really contemporary issue-driven stories. So yeah, I thought no one would be interested in this, but thankfully it got published.
So just like an elevator speech to us in the back of the book. What's this book about?
Oh, so this book is about a girl called Gemma who has to dive into her fragmented memories of Neverland that her mother used to tell her, stories that her mother used to tell her. It's like a Peter Pan retelling in order to find out what happened to her estranged mother and her father, because she was kind of abandoned by them when she was young and she doesn't have any memories of them. So she kind of has to go back to her memories of Neverland. And when she meets this boy who turns out to be her childhood best friend, the one that she shared stories of Neverland with, they kind of have to go back to their past and relive it all together just to find out what happened to her parents. So it's quite an emotional book for me to write, and I don't know, I hope it comes through.
So what was the inspiration for you to write this book?
I just really like Peter Pan. There's just something very whimsical about it, like not having to grow up. And I think it was just me trying to hold on to my childhood or something. But yeah, I had a great time writing it. I think it felt so pure. Like the story just felt like, this girl is so hopeful and so optimistic, even though, life has given her all this stuff. And I think a part of me wanted to live in this story, in this book as well.
Nice. Wow, wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Those are two wonderful things that goes into the Dear Future Grandkids time capsule. Fantastic. So, Joyce, now it's part of the show where if you've watched it before, you know that we have a really strange habit here on the show. We like to nose around people's houses. We're really nosy because we're on Zoom. We've got guests from all around the world as well. But we just want to find out if you have a corner of your room or your house that you're quite embarrassed about. So, do you know what I mean? So this is like a corner of shame. So could you pick up your laptop or your phone and show us around and show us your corner? You're smiling, which means you're not too upset or too ashamed of your corner.
Well, no, I'm not ashamed of it. Just that it's a little much. My room is not the tidiest, but I'll show it to you.
Okay.
So this is the corner that I'm very proud of, my book collection. Now
that's a lovely corner. That's also looks like a very neat bookshelf. I mean, it's a good thing that mine's
I take care of my books. But this is the corner of shame. This is why it's in the cupboard, because it's so messy. So basically, these are my writing notebooks that I've collected since I was in JC. So that's quite a few of them. I used to scribble down my ideas in notebooks, but now I don't. I just scribble them down. I just type them down on my phone. But yeah.
So all these notebooks, if you could pick one of them, so that means you've written your ideas and thoughts on all these notebooks before, and you just stored it here. Do you want to pick one up and give us a look and maybe flip to a page and see what you've written there, or maybe angsty kissing was in there, or
maybe. I'll pick this one out. Oh, I'll pull out a couple just to see what's inside. I don't even remember what.
Yeah, no, good. Let's take a trip down memory lane together with you. Let's look at one of them and tell us in terms of if you remember, what year was this? How old is this book? And then flip to a page and show us to see what you wrote in there. I'd be really interested to find out.
Oh man. Okay. This one, I guess.
Okay. So do you know how old this journal, this book is, roughly?
Yeah, I write the dates. I write down the dates. So it's around 2013.
Okay.
This is for No Room in Neverland. The one that I showed you.
We just talked about. This is meant to be. This is meant to be. Oh my god.
Yeah. Wow. I don't even remember writing this.
Do you want to read a little, or what you wrote?
Okay. I'll find a page where my writing is more legible.
I'm sure you'll be able to read your own writing.
Okay. So this part is where. Okay. So this part is where Cole, the male lead, tells Gemma, the female lead, about her secret. She tells her guardians about her secret meetings with random strangers, because she would, look for random strangers on the internet to find clues about her parents, and sometimes it gets dangerous. And her guardians, rebuke her, and she kind of flounces out in anger. And then Cole says to Gemma, "How many times are you going to let yourself get strung along like that before you lose hope?"
I mean, that's amazing. That's something that was in your mind. You had this whole idea, the concept. You wrote into this in your journal, your book, your notebook in 2013.
Yeah.
And 10 years later it was published? Yeah.
10 years. 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. Okay, how do you feel right now that you've kept all the books and journals, and then we just took you through it, you picked it up and you reread it, and it's something that got published? I mean, how does that make you feel?
This book always makes me feel kind of emotional. It still does, even though now it's already published and it's found a home. I just feel like, every book kind of contains a piece of me. So this one especially contains a bigger piece of me. And I think I find a lot of myself in Gemma, the character, as well, because she's naturally a very optimistic and hopeful person, and this is someone that I want to be, and I kind of am, I think. Yeah, so I put a lot of myself into her, and yeah, this is why I call it the book of my heart. So I'm really glad I kept these notebooks.
Amazing. So now, in terms of your writing process, you talked about it before. You used to write it all down in a notebook, but now you just type it into your laptop, right? Has that process changed from actually writing it down to typing? Does that change your creative process, or does it make it easier? Or are you afraid if the hard drive crashes on you? And I mean, I'm not an author, but I'm just trying to get into your head and to see.
Yeah, I think I do still keep a notebook with me wherever I go, just in case, I don't know, just in case I feel like I need to kind of visualize things on the page rather than scroll through my phone trying to look for the idea that I scribbled down like a month ago. But yeah, I think it kind of does change the way you write down your notes and your ideas, because it's just all over the place. My notes are really just all over the place. If you look at my notebook, it's like bits and pieces here and there, and like little points. And sometimes there's like I call it the character art. So yeah, so
because you haven't pieced it all together yet, right? It's a concept. It's either your characters, but you
have like mind maps and stuff.
Nice.
So it's just easier to kind of visualize them on the page and kind of sort out your thoughts. But on on a Google Doc, you can't really see that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, no. Thank you so much for sharing. That's fantastic. It's really interesting to get into your psyche of how you create something in your mind, put it on paper, and then getting it published. I mean, I'm just always so fascinated with that whole process. So Joyce, now we just want to find out if your phone is nearby. Is your mobile phone nearby? Fantastic.
Yeah, I have.
So what we want to do is to get you to pick up your phone and for you to leave a voice message to someone meaningful, or maybe someone that's special in your life but you haven't spoken to in a while, or haven't been in touch regularly, or that you never leave a voice message for, but they have a special place in your life. Now, we want you to leave a voice message here on Dear Future Grandkids. You up to that?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you can tell us who it's going up to, or you don't want to. That's fine as well. So.
I think I'll send it to my ex-boss. He actually, from Zalora, he really helped me a lot, actually. I mean, I think he's one of the best bosses I've had, because he genuinely cares about our welfare. So I when we were working together, I almost called him a friend as well. I didn't usually, call my bosses my friends because I tend to draw a line between us, but he's the closest to a friend that I can call a boss.
Nice.
But I haven't spoken to him since
how long?
Since 2018.
Wow. Okay. And this was your boss when you were in the
Zalora.
Zalora. So it's an e-commerce site.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Whenever you're ready. We just like to pry and listen to
voice message. I haven't really planned my message to him, but
just let it.
Hi, Kern. This is Joyce. I know you haven't heard from me in a long while, but I just wanted to say that I'm very grateful to you for your help when we were in Zalora. Thank you for always looking out for us, even though you had a million things on your plate. And I hope you're doing well right now. Rooting for you. See ya. There you go.
No, that's lovely. But what do you think his reaction will be when he picks up his phone? He checks his WhatsApp.
I have no idea.
And he's got a voicemail from you. And you think he's gonna text you back? He's gonna drop you a line?
I think he might. He's the kind who would definitely reply. But I mean, he has a kid now, so I don't know how busy he is. But I think he definitely will reply. Hopefully, he remembers me.
Oh, of course he remembers you. I'm sure he does. You're a published author, writer. Of course, you remember who you are.
He was very supportive about my writing career as well. So yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, in terms of of your career so far, and you've been really prolific because you've got 6 books published already, which is amazing achievement in itself. And I know also you have a day job. So
Yeah.
unless you're a big name and you've totally made it, obviously the different stratosphere in that direction is J.K. Rowling, obviously. But it's really interesting, and we're interested to find out: is it possible to earn a full-time living as a writer?
Mm, like you mentioned, probably if you're in the like top 1 to 5% of authors who are consistently churning out books every year and getting like 6-figure deals, yeah, then maybe it's possible. But even so, I think it's still a bit hard to kind of predict when your next paycheck is going to come. I think it's not a
Yeah.
very stable thing. But yeah, if you consistently churn out books, I guess one day, hopefully, yeah. But
So
for majority of authors, you don't really get to. It's not really a livable wage that you get.
I see. So it's a lot of it is passion because let's just say that without going into the details of the exact sum and all of that. So that means you have to be really prolific to earn a
Yeah,
living, a full time living as a full time writer. So we're talking about what, many books a year.
I think at least 1 book a year, and that's only if the advance is big and you earn out really quickly and you start earning royalties.
Okay, and you haven't given up on your passion. Obviously, it's 6 books in, and it's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah, I think in my 20s, especially when I was really locked in on getting published, I sacrificed my weekday evenings, my weekends studying the industry, reading agent blogs, reading editor blogs, just to find out, how to get my foot into the industry and also how to get published. So I kind of sacrificed my social life for that quite a bit.
Wow. No, I think that shows your real passion, and it shows that you have the drive to succeed, because some people may have the talent or just want to become someone, or let's say a writer now. They probably won't do what you've done to actually research the process of how to get published and also where the agents are. And I think that's fantastic. What gave you this drive to just go the extra?
I don't know. I think it's always been my dream to be an author ever since I read Little Women, and Joe March is just my spirit animal. And yeah, my dream has always been to write books and travel the world. So I decided to just make it happen. It hasn't happened yet. I'm writing books, but it's not enough for me to just quit my job and travel the world. But hopefully, I'm on the path there.
You will definitely get there, and we know that obviously you have a day job, you're a fantastic writer, you're a published author, 6 books coming out already, and I'm sure many more to come. One thing that we like to find out here in Dear Future Grandkids is we value all our guests, but we also do want to find out if they have a pointless skill, because you never know in life, this pointless skill might be impressive, it might help you because it's completely pointless. You never know, you might meet an agent that is really impressed with your pointless skill. Joyce, do you have one?
The only one I can think of is that I can touch my toes to my head, to the back of my head.
No,
But
you can. No,
yeah.
I don't believe that. You have to show it to us. I do not believe that.
Okay, let me see if I can.
This is gonna be the
See.
best pointless skill ever.
That's the weirdest skill ever.
You probably discovered how to do this during watching The Mummy with your dad when you were 8 years old and you were scared.
Okay, let's see if I can. I'm not sure you can see this, but this is so weird. I'm doing this on camera.
This is what the show does. To prove to everyone, ladies and gentlemen, this is Joyce's pointless skill. Let's give this a go.
I need to kind of stretch a little bit. Can you see it?
Yes, I can. It's covered by your hair, but I believe you. I believe you.
Okay. Before I sprain my back.
That's fantastic. That's good. So, I just want to know, how did you discover that? I mean, were you in gymnastics when you were younger, or you were bored one day and you just thought, you know what, I can just touch the back of my head with my
I
So
saw this, I can't remember what movie it was, but there was this girl around my age when I was like, I think 8 or 10. And I can't remember what movie it was, but she did that. And I decided I'm just going to go home and try it. And so I did it.
it's a good thing you decided to follow that from a movie and not other things like, I don't know, shoplifting, killing someone, something gory like that. So at least that's good. Joyce, we're very impressed. Thank you very much for sharing with us your pointless skill. I just want everyone to know, and especially for me as well, that I can never unsee that. I've seen it. Now, Joyce, let's talk more about your family and your childhood now. Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Singapore all my life.
And talk us through what your neighborhood is like. Was it just like
Yeah.
a regular neighborhood, nice neighbors? What was it like there for you?
Yeah, so I grew up with my grandparents, my dad and my second aunt. After my parents divorced, we moved back to my grandparents' place, and my grandma was pretty much like my mom. She kind of raised me, and we lived in their shop house at Side Awi Road, which is opposite. Yeah, that's her.
Oh, hello.
Um, yeah, she passed away a year ago, but she had a wonderfully long life. And yeah, I grew up in the shop house. So, there's a roti prata shop downstairs. There's Mustafa opposite. It's very convenient. And it's a very, kind of charming small town vibe that I enjoyed. I stayed there until I was 25. And then my
Nice.
dad and I moved out. Yeah.
So for those who are not in Singapore, so it's a very busy sort of neighborhood, and Mustafa is a 24-hour massive, should we call it a departmental store that sells anything and everything under the sun. and then roti prata is a famous sort of local Indian sort of like a pancake thingy that you eat with curry. So you grew up in a really colorful neighborhood in a shop house. Was it you live upstairs, and did your family own a shop at the bottom?
No. So
Okay.
downstairs it was just coffee shops, and we lived
Okay.
upstairs. Yeah.
Upstairs. Oh, wow. So a really vibrant neighborhood.
Yeah. It was pretty noisy, even all through the night, because all the traffic and the 24-hour mall.
You are definitely a city girl now. Now, what would you
Yeah.
tell your future grandkids about how you grew up? What would you tell them?
It was a very simple, uncomplicated upbringing that I had. I was raised with a lot of love from my grandparents, my second aunt, and of course my dad. I'm very close to him. Single parent, only child. We were very close to each other. So it was a very. I didn't feel like I ever lacked anything. So they gave me everything they could. I'm very thankful to them.
And what lessons did you learn from your family, and especially from your dad?
From my dad, he used to tell me not to sweat the small stuff because I used to be a little anxious when I was younger and I would worry about everything. So he would tell me to not to put so much pressure on myself, to just kind of take things as they go, and just to live life and find my way to the answers. Yeah.
And then you also took a trip with your dad in Beijing, and something happened there in Beijing.
Yeah, so we went to Beijing in 2016 on holiday, and we went to the Forbidden Palace and the Great Wall, all these historical sites. And as a result of that, I came up with the idea for the fantasy trilogy that I worked on from 2016 to 2022, I think. Yeah, so it was a trilogy. It's a Chinese fantasy trilogy, historical Chinese fantasy. Very loose. It's not even historical. It's not like there's no historical accuracy at all. It's just fantasy set in a place that is inspired by ancient China.
So it just then and there, it just hit you, and you go, well, yeah, why not? It was just something that.
Yeah. So I was on the flight back. It was a red eye flight. I remember this very clearly because it was just so it was so significant for me. So
Yeah.
I plotted out the first book in the trilogy on the flight home, and everyone was asleep. It was a red eye flight. And I was just, I had the little lamp turned on and I was scribbling in my notebook, and yeah, the book just came to fruition in the end.
It's amazing. Just like that, right? An idea could just come just like that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you said that you all really, really close, especially you had a fantastic relationship with your dad. And also you were very close to your grandmother. So sorry that she passed on a year ago. How would you describe your relationship with your grandma, and what's the one lesson that you will always keep with you about her?
Mm, mm, the one lesson that I would always keep from her, that I learned from her, is to do everything with love. I mean, she's someone who kind of, she doesn't she doesn't express it a lot, but she shows it in the things that she does for us. You know, she'll make us herbal teas on hot days. She'll make us desserts on weekends, and she'll cook for us. And she just does everything with love. And she doesn't really, yeah, she doesn't really say much, but you can feel it. And I think that just feels very grounding. And I guess that's how I kind of approach my relationships with people. But of course, I do want to tell them that I love them too, because my words of affirmation is my love language.
So words of affirmation is your love language. So your
Yeah.
grandma's love language is acts, right? But
Yeah,
yours,
acts of
yeah.
service.
Do you think
Yeah,
it's a generational thing that they are unable
probably.
to articulate that they perform acts of love?
Yeah, I think so. My dad is also not like a words of affirmation kind of guy. He's definitely more like an acts of service kind of person as well.
Wow. Where did you think you got this from? It's just maybe it's just your own personality, this words of
Yeah,
affirmation.
maybe because I read and I write, so maybe words are the best way for me to express myself.
Interesting. Very interesting. Now, what's the most important thing, that we should know about you?
That I have a phobia of cats.
Wait. No. Okay. We know that you like to swim the first thing in the morning. Okay. That we know. Words of affirmation is your love language. You have a phobia of cats. Okay. Let's get into this. Um, how did you find out you had a phobia of cats?
It started really young. So way back when I was a baby, according to my dad, my grandmother would kind of scare me because I used to crawl out of the door, and there are a lot of cats walking along the walkway. So in order to get me to come back, she would say, don't go out there, or the cats are going to get you. And I think that was when the seed of fear got planted in
Planted.
my brain. Yeah. And then when I got a little older, when I was a toddler, I had two occasions. There were two occasions when I was pounced on by a cat. And when you're a toddler, a cat pouncing on you is like a tiger pouncing on you, So I think it just kind of solidified the image of cats in my mind.
So does it mean every time you see a cat now you kind of like take two steps back or move to the side and just go avoid
Oh, I
them?
get hysterical. It's embarrassing. I can't go to coffee shops because of that.
So you literally freak out.
I would freak out. I would scream, and when I was a kid, I would like jump on the chair and everything. It was so embarrassing for my dad. He just never took me to a coffee shop ever again.
So I guess if your future books is going to come out and if any cats feature in it, it'll just be not painted
As
in
a
a very
villain.
nice light. As a villain, something to avoid that pounces on young innocent
Yeah.
children. That's great. That's good to know. That's good to know. Thank you so much for telling us that. How would you like to be remembered?
Mm, that I was authentic, genuine, um, and loving friend and daughter who did everything with love, and brought joy to the lives of people around me.
That's lovely. Um, so this is just kind of reflecting and also looking into the far, far future. What advice would, the 80-year-old Joyce give you today? What would she tell you?
Whew. Well, that's a heavy one. I guess probably the same thing that my dad used to tell me, to not sweat the small stuff, just to kind of appreciate what we have in the present, not live in the past, not live in the future, because the future is made up of what we have right now. So just to not sweat the small stuff, especially for 20 something Joyce, who was very anxious about whether she was going to make it in life, whether she was going to be financially, independent. Yeah, there's just so many more things that we can worry about every single day. So I think the best advice I would give a younger Joyce is that, take every day as it comes and believe that life is working out for you and not against you.
That's beautiful. That is amazing advice for ATO Joyce giving Joyce right now. But the one thing that I took away from it, it was like what you said. It was exactly the advice that your dad gave you, and your future older self has just given yourself.
Yeah.
So obviously, that lesson from your dad has really been ingrained in you. Has he? Has he always said that? Is that like his mantra since you was as little, and you could always just remember that? Just don't sweat the small stuff.
I think so, yeah, because I've always been an anxious little child. And
Well, you
I
you were little. I mean,
yeah.
it's just a
And I think
child.
I don't know if it's an only child thing, but we kind of always want to, be the best self. Like I was kind of a perfectionist when I was younger and kind of a type A personality. So I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I think my dad could sense that, and he just wanted me to be happy. So I think that's why he told me to just to live in the moment and not sweat the small stuff.
I love that. I love that. I think this is such good advice for anybody really, because we just kind of get hung up in terms of the big picture, because we worry about everything, right? As you move along in life, if you have a family, a responsibility, your career, everything is so expensive these days, and you just get inundated with all of that. And I guess it's just focus on what's important and who's important. I think that's really, really great advice. Joyce, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. It's so fun. I've learned so much about you. I know never to bring cats around you for sure, or any sort of cat artifacts or
Yeah.
whatsoever to remind you of your phobia. So thank you so much for hanging out with us and also building this video time capsule. You've got the actual time capsule, the box with you, and I'm sure that you show it at some point to your future grandkids. So as we close the show and you get to leave a message, what do you want to say to your dear future grandkids?
I would say, um, I hope that you find things in your life that will nourish your soul and people who will fill up your life with love and joy. I hope you'll cherish them. I hope you will find at the end of the day that it's not, job titles or fancy material things that matter the most. It's the people that you have around you that will give you the most unforgettable experiences and the memories that you look back on one day. And I hope you're having the time of your life. You have the time and space to have experiences and make mistakes and discover yourself. And so I hope you have the courage to go after the things that you want, and you're not afraid of failing, falling, or making mistakes. And I hope that you will always stay true to yourself. And I hope that you will go on many more adventures and have many more stories to tell. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And also beware of cats.
Yeah. That too. Listen.
Joyce, that's wonderful. It's so lovely spending this time for you, and thank you so much. I know you're very busy, and we always have a lot of gratitude whenever any of our guests spend time with us and to share wonderful stories and also anything that we can learn from you and your family and your career. Thank you so much for today. This has been Dear Future Grandkids, where we look to the past to give us lessons for the future. So thank you once again, Joyce. So before we go, Joyce, where can we tell all our viewers where to find you, and also is there anything they can be looking out for in the future in terms of a new book, perhaps, or something is brewing?
Well, you can find me on social media. I'm at Joyce Chua Writes on TikTok, on Instagram, on Threads, and you can find me on my website as well, joycechua.com. And as for future projects, I'm actually in the process of querying agents for this urban fantasy YA that's set in a reimagined Singapore. So if I have any news about that, I'll definitely keep everyone posted on my socials.
Fantastic, and definitely let us know, and we can't wait to share with all our Dear Future Grandkids team and the rest of the our viewers and our listeners as well. So Joyce, thank you very much, and thank you all for watching Dear Future Grandkids. We'll see you next time every Saturday right here. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Bye.